Good evening. On behalf of the staff and the commissioners, I'd like to welcome you all to our Grants Advisory Commission meeting today on May 14, 2024. We'll go ahead and begin with a roll call, which Heather will take.
Commissioner Acosta?
Present.
Commissioner Carroll?
Here.
Commissioner Haywood?
Here.
Commissioner Kriz?
Here.
Youth Commissioner Bea Unadad? And Vice Chair Parker?
Here.
Chair Reed? Here. And we have an excused absent for Commissioner Meeks Harris.
Thank you. Our next item is our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you please stand and join me. Just talking to me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our next agenda item is public comment. So this is a time where anyone in the audience can come up and share anything that's not on the agenda. Oh, I saw someone move, but just checking. I'll go ahead and close public comments then. We'll move to agenda item number 5, the minutes. So I'll give everyone some seconds to review the agenda items and see if they have any comments. Okay. Well, I'll go ahead then and entertain a motion if there is no comments or corrections.
I move to accept the minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Perfect. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Awesome, thank you. Now we will move on to agenda item number 6, the presentation. So for our 6.1, we have a commissioner recognition, and I am going to turn this over to our council member Ricucci and have also Commissioner Haywood to the podium.
Well, thank you very much for having me here, and it's just an honor to do this for, I've known her forever, and so probably all the 10 years, so this is really exciting for me. And so I take this as a real honor to be here, not representing just me, but it's the council, the mayor, the vice mayor, and all of us for the good works you've done. I'm going to read a little bit of what I want to say because it's true and what you've done, and then I have your certificate and a little special thing for you. Commissioner Don Haywood has served the community continuously on the Grants Advisory Commission since July 2nd, 2014. Commissioner Haywood contributed to the discussion and recommendation to adjust the formula used to maximize the interest income to allow the commission to have more funding available for the organization. Commissioner Haywood participated in the community needs assessment, providing the current process and historical context for the consulting firm and worked to implement the findings in a new process. Over the 10 years of service with the Grants Advisory Commission, Commissioner Haywood has been instrumental in awarding over $4.4 million to approximately 275 different projects and programs to support Roseville community. Commissioner Haywood's knowledge, input, expertise will be greatly missed, and we can't thank you enough for the dedication and years that you provided through this commission. And this is what I have for you. Then I want to say what's on here because that's too cute too. But this is for you.
Thank you.
And we'll tell.
Are we doing? Okay.
We'll do everything.
Of course.
Yeah, but yeah, that would be good. That's a very good idea. You know, I'm going to take a picture of this with you holding this, but then I want to read it.
Oh.
Other people. I know she can't read it now. Can't read it. I won't read it.
Can you guys stand up in the back in that way?
Should we get closer?
Yeah. Easy for some people.
It's nice to stay.
Session for actually, I'm sorry. Can you guys come this way a little bit, and then I'll try to get everybody in. Okay.
Oh, yes. More.
Okay. Thank you, that way everybody's in. 1, 2.
Oh, thank you for doing that.
My chair, sorry.
I'd like to say a few words. This is a really pretty object here that she can have to show that all those hours that she spent here with you, and it's like being on council. She didn't do it alone, she did it with you and a lot of other people. All of you work together and you make the synergy and make it happen. So I appreciate all of you. It says Dawn Haywood, I gotta put the heart of a volunteer is not measured in size, but by the depth of the commitment to make a difference in the lives of others. And you have.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
So, do you want me to stay here? Okay. Commissioners,
Yeah.
thank you. Former commissioners, thank you all for this opportunity, this privileged council, community. I'm without words, sort of. It's been an incredible opportunity to be in this position and influence so many projects, so many people. And when Heather shared the total amount, I was absolutely floored. We had our generous years, we had our lean years. That's everything, and it's just it just makes all the hard work that we did, especially through the transition and into this program, the process we have now, the community needs assessment, the reassessment by council, to make this process better and more transparent. I think we did that. And that's something I heard way back 10 years ago. So congratulations to all of us and all of you. Miss you all. It's going to be odd to not be here working every month with all of you. So keep up the good work, and thank you all for everything.
Okay.
Thank you all. And I want to open it up to any other fellow commissioners that would like to add anything.
I just want to say how you're such like an inspirational and like impactful person to not only this commission, but also like the citizens of Roseville. And like I want to thank you for your hard work and your dedication to helping the community. And I hope you have like fun in the next journey of your life.
Great. Yeah, I'll share my thoughts, Dawn. When I was considering an opportunity, I've been around Roseville for a while, and I'm familiar with what the Grants Commission was, but I thought, I'll be part of that. It'd be easy to give away money, right? It's not. And it was great to have a seasoned veteran like you on there to kind of guide us through the process until we got our feet under us. So hopefully some of that rubbed off, and we'll be able to continue on with the legacy that you've established here and continue to do good work for the city of Roseville and those that support the city of Roseville with all the nonprofits that we're able to contribute to. So thank you for your modeling and your expertise to help us along.
Thank you.
Yeah, same here. I remember when I started on the commission, you were on, and it was great to have that, I was going to say, voice of experience, the context, providing a lot of information that was really valuable. And Ed and I and the rest of us will have to carry that on. But a lot of time spent, I know, reviewing applications, and that process, as all the other things has gotten, longer, shorter, it's like an accordion. But I think we're in a good place, and of course, continuous improvement. But your perspective and your contribution will be missed. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll add too. I want to thank you for your passion and enthusiasm. I watched the last meeting, and you kept emphasizing being a good steward of our funding, and you can just see how devoted you are and the investment that you take this really seriously for the whole 10 years. I mean, I wasn't born then. I'm kidding. But all of that time and effort, I think, I could see it carried over through a lot of us, and just your advocacy. So I'm excited for where you will place all that, but also sad that you are moving on.
And I'll just add, as a new member of the the commission, thank you for everything you've done for the community over the last, 10 years? Okay. And also, thank you for being so welcoming and helpful when I joined the commission. I'm very grateful.
I will just add all of those things. But on behalf of Kiwi, we've enjoyed your support. You were very kind and provided explanations and really gave the historical context that's needed for the new commissioners as we came on to really have that global picture, and just dedicating your time to supporting our community is amazing. And it is a loss for us, but I know you'll be around and we'll be able to stay in touch. So
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh,
Can we open up for public comment?
yes, you read my mind. And now we'll open it to public comment.
Greetings, everyone. Chair Reed, Vice Chair Parker, and commissioners. My name's Robert Liss. I'm a former grants commissioner, and I come from the same sort of alumni class as Chair Carroll and Chris, and we served together, and of course with Chair you're both former chairs, right? Okay.
3 of us were.
All three of them, yeah. I guess I can address everybody that way. but- I personally would like to echo, obviously, everything that's been said already. And when I first came onto the commission, it really was a relief and helped me sort of settle in and to have your experience already on the commission. And I was also floored at the amount that was said. I thought, oh my gosh, that's really amazing. So what that is, it's indicative of the great work that you've done, your wisdom, your patience, your compassion for the community, and Roseville is very much better off with you having served it in this capacity. I would like to personally thank you as well and wish you the best of luck in all your endeavors going forward. So
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And now we will transition to item 6.2, reviewing the fiscal year of 2022-2023, the American Rescue Plan Act year-end summary reports. So all staff should have a copy of that. And I will turn it to staff to give a brief info on the background.
Good evening, Commissioners. Item 6.2, we are recommending that the Grants Advisory Commission review the final reports for the 2022-2023 ARPA grant funding cycle. For these grant agreements, it required that each grant recipient file a report by January 31st, 2024. The final reports are important to maintain the integrity and accountability of our grants process. These reports are a way for the agencies to summarize their accomplishments as well as report on their expenditures. During this reporting period, all but one grant recipient from our 2022-2023 funding cycle completed the final report, with that one not completing the final report due to an unfortunate inability to use those funds as they had applied for. And with that, I turn it back over to you.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have any comments?
Just this is going to get added to the website like the other.
It already has been.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and this is one of the things that was clear when we went through the community needs assessment was there wasn't a lot of people that were aware of the money that was available to support nonprofits or the work that was being done in the community as a result of that. So this was one of the things that was really highlighted that we needed to reach out a little bit more between having ongoing presence on the website with what has been awarded and where it's gone, as well as opportunities, our September meeting where we have an opportunity to come in and hear presentations and have dialogue with folks that are utilizing the funds. So yeah, this was another one of those ideas that was generated, and it's great to see it come to fruition. Excellent job, staff, putting this together.
Okay. And I will also say shout out to staff because it is a lot of information to provide that's concise, but it's very beneficial and helpful for us to see the accomplishments Okay, so I will go ahead and open public comment for this item.
My name is Glenda Hay. I'm a 30-year resident of historic Sierra Vista. And thank you for, I wasn't able to attend, but I reviewed your comments, and you were absolutely spot on with a lot of them regarding our grant application. We were asking a lot, but only fulfilling a fraction of our need, and the seeking funds elsewhere. Luckily, the city of Roseville is doing this fantastic long-term transportation 360 study. I was just talking to Lewis over, who was on the transportation committee, that it's not user-friendly, the URL is not user-friendly, the survey is not user-friendly, but I'm going to attend their meeting next week and see if we can't get that better. Our biggest deadline is we're trying to get that survey out to our high school and our elementary school, both of which have children walking in the roadways because they can't get to the schools. We do hope, now that it has stopped raining, to do our sidewalk that we got funded last year, and we have our ARP 2024 stamp, because this one section is going to connect to 1940, a WPA section. So in the future, people are going to Google, well, WPA, what does that stand for? And it'll pull up Roosevelt's investments in infrastructure. And they'll go, what is ARP? And it'll pull up President Biden's investment. So I'd like to thank all of you for all that you do, volunteer on this board, and congratulations to the people who did win. I saw some of them, what they requested fulfilled their need. And that really, that's a good thing. So it's a good thing that you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you, and we appreciate your insight and that and knowledge and what you shared. Let's see, given that there's no more public comment, I will go ahead and close it. And we'll move now to agenda item 6.3, the 2024-2025 funding cycle survey results. So staff, I will turn it to staff to give us a brief overview of this item.
Was that the next one?
See the survey results?
The calendar one.
Calendar.
Let me add a little more before I just jump there then. So staff recommends that the commission review and discuss our feedback that we have received. So it's attached. You'll find that there are quite a few that we had.
Are we doing the funding?
Item 6.3 is the calendar, the work plan.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Yes.
I think our agendas and notes got mixed up, but we can do 6.3 as we have it reflected for the funding cycle calendar, and then we'll move on to 6.4, which I think is the survey results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. So let me just fix that. So then this is,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yours is switched.
so then this is, oh, okay. Let me make that number. Okay, so I will read this differently then. Let's go ahead and discuss this draft for 2025 and 2026.
All right, apologies for that mix-up. Staff requests that the Grants Advisory Commission review and adopt the draft 2025-2026 funding cycle calendar. And please note that this is an approximation subject to change no matter what we adopt here tonight.
Okay. Does the commission have any additional comments or questions regarding this?
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I have a question about the start time for the October 8th, the November 12th first meeting for the interview with the youth commissioner applicants. It's usually 5:30. I'm presuming maybe it was suggested to push it earlier because of the number, to give more of a break.
I think that's what was discussed last time, because it went straight from, and we were receiving so many of the applications for the interviews, and there were 15 minutes. We were going right up into the 7 o'clock. And you guys didn't have any opportunity to discuss before making a decision at the 7 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, I wasn't at that meeting, so.
We can change it to 5:30, and
We can also see how many applicants we get, and then whatever we ultimately agendize and publish will be the start time for that meeting.
No, I'm okay with that.
I think the majority of us agree on that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it can be 5:30, what I remembered last time, even though we had the slots spread out, everyone went through pretty
quick,
quickly.
yeah.
And we reached a consensus without specifics, and then in the meeting, we were able to address it. So I felt like last time did work out
Pretty
okay.
quick.
But yeah, we can see how many applicants we have and go from there. I have a question or two. So if we're approving this now, the review on the August 13th meeting, the review application process, is that to finalize the application at that point? Because if we're going to take the comments from the survey, and we haven't really discussed that yet, but, you know, if we want to incorporate in that, and I know I'll miss that meeting, I'm just wondering if that could get moved to a later meeting. But I guess it depends on what we want to do with the because doing whatever we do with the applications, that's like the first meeting coming back from, well, it's the check presentation and the start of next year as it works out. I just don't know if we'll be in a position to make decisions about the application process on that first meeting.
I had a similar comment. I was going to see if we could switch the grant guidelines, the policy manual, and move that to August and put the review the application and scoring criteria on September. Because I think we're going to need more time to discuss the guidelines and the application. But I think it'll be driven by the manual and all of that. But the scoring and the application should go together in my mind.
I agree, like separate the policy manual in that third bullet on its own.
Yeah.
And put the scoring criteria with the application
So if we were to
process.
do the grant guidelines and the policy manual in August, then we could do the application process and scoring criteria in September. I don't know that we're going to have all that many updates for the policy manual, maybe the guidelines, depending on the survey results, possibly.
Right.
And staff will be providing a clarifying update in the policy manual for your consideration. It's not a substantial update, but there
Yeah.
is one.
Okay.
We did that
Need
all in
teaser?
one meeting last time.
Teaser.
What?
I said it's a teaser.
I said, can we get a teaser?
Oh, we're going to make a little bit more clear on eligibility requirements where it comes to private educational institutions.
Okay, good.
Okay, so it looks like last year we did it all at the same time, in the same meeting. The grant guidelines and application and the policy manual and scoring criteria, all in one meeting. If I'm looking at our
Meeting
calendar.
was
The
that?
September 12th.
We may have ended up pushing back. I'd have to look through my other notes. Because I think every year we want to consider if there are changes to the application. I think in particular with the comments from the survey, which I'm so happy we did the survey.
Yeah.
So I think it might be worth moving those back. So does it sound like there's consensus from our group to make those suggested changes?
That works for me.
Yep.
And to summarize for our notes, that's moving the guidelines and the policy manual to August 13th, and then taking the application process and scoring criteria and application
To September.
to September 10th.
Yeah.
Okay. So I will go ahead and open public comment.
I have one more.
Go ahead.
Okay. When are we doing check presentations again?
August.
In August. Okay, so we're just doing that on kind of a test basis, because for this particular, for the calendar, we have it still set for July. So I know, far in 2025, further down, the
Gotcha.
very last one. So do we want to, are we just doing it this year as a test basis and see what happened, and we'll just keep it on July, and then next year we'll figure out what to do, I'm
Yeah,
guessing?
I think we're exploring internally the process and controls relative to the end of our budget cycle and the beginning of another one where our systems kind of lock down check issuance until later in time. And then we also had a problem with having that event on the same night as another event in the Civic Center, and so parking and attendance was problematic. So I think for this instance, we'll move forward, tentatively have this scheduled for July, but subject to change depending on how it goes this time.
Got it, okay.
Okay. No other comments? I'll go ahead and open it to public comment.
I had replied to the survey. So 2 years ago, the application was due like early April, and this year it was due early February, and that was a real crunch. I mean, I know some of your applicants are businesses, and they have people who are employed to be secretaries and treasurers. Arcona's a volunteer organization, and so the outgoing secretary applied for the City of Roseville business license. The incoming secretary hadn't even been sworn in when I'm saying, where's the business license? So that hopefully your application deadline is not so close to the beginning of the year. That was just, again, as a volunteer organization, that was really a crunch for getting end-of-year budgets and new year budgets, things done with people transitioning in and out of appointments and offices. And I did put that in the feedback comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, well, now that we are moving back to the item and discussing, we make a motion for that, to adopt the funding calendar of.
Based on the changes that you've proposed and we've clarified.
Okay. Yeah. Then I will go ahead and entertain a motion for that based on the changes that we have discussed. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition?
Just a clarification.
Did somebody actually make the motion?
Yeah. Chair can't make the motion, you can second it, though.
Just moved a little too quick. Okay, so we are clear with that then? Okay.
You need to ask for somebody to make a motion.
Because I can't, okay. Thank you. May I have a motion for someone to entertain this item?
So moved.
And then I'll ask for a second.
I will second.
And then all in favor?
Quick, before we do a discussion
Discuss.
on the motion. So if this is just a tentative calendar then, if we want to change, just even hearing, comments about the deadline and maybe some other things we might want to talk about if they will impact this calendar. So if we're accept this calendar, it's on a tentative basis, knowing that we have some flexibility. Just wanted to clarify.
And every year, it seems like we change a little bit. Sometimes we have 2 meetings for funding considerations. Sometimes we cancel that and have 1. So it's really just a guideline for us to kind of set our course for the cycle, but subject to change.
Okay, I know in the past we wanted to add more meetings because it was hard to add a meeting after we approved this calendar. But so there is some flexibility as far as like if we were to talk about changing the grant deadline by approving this now, we have that flexibility still.
As long as we bring it back as an agendized item, you're able to consider that again.
All the more reason to move the application stuff to September. So, okay, very good. Thank you.
Okay. I think part of the reason we weren't unable to move meetings was more for commissioner schedules, not necessarily that we couldn't add it on this calendar. It was just people weren't available.
I think it was a combination, but I remember.
Maybe there may have been 1 or 2 where it
Yeah.
just was not possible, yeah.
Okay, so I think we left with a motion, we had a second, and now all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, we will go ahead and move to agenda item 6.4. And that is the funding cycle survey results. So we all have that item here. I'll start with, if staff have any updates or anything you want to add to that?
We received 12 survey responses. They're attached to the agenda, and everybody's able to view those if you don't have an agenda here in person, online. And I turn it back to you for your consideration and any follow-up direction you might have.
Okay, so now as commissioners probably have reviewed this already. Anybody have any comments on what they've seen?
One of the things that I had noticed when looking at this, and this was already expressed a little bit, you can really tell people that are used to have grant writing capability and are used to seeing this sort of stuff, that didn't seem to be much of an issue. For somebody that is new to it, volunteer, and don't do grants as part of a regular job, you could tell that it might have been a little confusing, challenging, and demanding in regards to a lot of the submittals that were coming in. So I guess that's one of the things we could do is kind of review the amount, especially for some of our nonprofits, more volunteer-based, make it a little bit less onerous on them to get some of these documents if they're not needed. Or we are talking about public funds here, so I do know that there's some certain requirements that go along with what's included in the applications, but make it a little less onerous would be a benefit, I think, to some of our smaller organizations.
Yeah, and I thought that there were more than a few comments about the similarities between some of the questions. And even as I was reading, I was thinking some of these questions seem kind of like they're asked and answered. So I think it's probably a good idea if we go back and kind of reevaluate the questions. So yeah, I thought that was pretty good feedback.
Yeah, I had kind of a few different areas that I thought, just an overall sense from the surveys. The alignment of the questions, so I think there's an opportunity there for us as we go into next year, and I almost would propose a subcommittee for that, because I don't think we could really get into it at the level during the meeting. The Zoom Grants platform, some liked it, some didn't. I do feel like for a couple comments in here, I almost, and this is of course just a small, probably, we had, close to 50 applicants. Part of me wants to call Zoom Grants and just kind of better understand, what, I don't know if they offer training, what their platform availability is. I was a little concerned that even for people who copied and pasted, so they didn't have the timeout issue to lose things, they still had a problem with that.
Yeah.
So I know when I use it differently because I'm not entering the stuff, I'm just moving back and forth. And this year, honestly, I did have some problems where it would freeze up. So some concerns there that maybe we could follow up with the vendor to see about that. And then the concern about the attachments, again, kind of, I guess, along the lines of what Commissioner Chris mentioned, if they're not familiar with all the attachments, it can seem a lot and pretty overwhelming. I know we've gone back and forth too on, hey, the city has this business license we can check, or no, it's easier for them to submit it. I don't know where the balance is, because I think you go one way and some people are happy, and you go a different way, other people are happy, and maybe we can't make everyone happy. But I don't know if there's more of a balance there. And even someone had a comment about just naming them. I don't know to what extent we want to consider, as long as, like, if they attach it in a certain place, can we tell what it is regardless of the name? I don't know if that's even and these probably bear more discussion than what we have time right now for. But so those areas, and then the other one was just consideration if we want to changing the deadline. I feel like the deadline has already been, we open it up in the beginning of December and we close it in the beginning of February. I know this year we did the that time in between where people could, if there were questions about what had been submitted or they didn't completely submit everything. And I don't know, I feel like last time we talked about that went well, and we'd probably continue it.
Yeah, I can provide some feedback on that. It was definitely a more involved, substantial undertaking, and Toby Thomas, management analyst, isn't here this evening, but she was spent tens and tens of hours working with each of the applicants who had some issues to fix in their applications. It went well. It was the first time that we were that hands-on and trying to right-size the eligibility upfront process, and so there were definitely learning lessons to be had. I think as we go forward, it'll be smoother since this was the first time. Next time, I imagine this upcoming cycle, it'll be a smoother process and maybe a little less involved. But overall, it went as well as I think it could have for its first pilot run.
Okay, but it's something you'd recommend continuing, sorry.
No, that's okay. I wanted to add to a couple of those things. I think I agree with the commissioners that we should review the amount of information requested, and I think that would be helpful for staff to let us know what is required from the different federal sets of funding in terms of what we have to report to the feds for some like the ARPA funding and other pieces that might be blended in there, because some of those items that we request are not up for options. Like, we have to provide some of those things to legitimize certain things. And for the alignment of the questions, I agree with that. I think we do need to review the redundancy pieces and either be more clear about how they're different or what the purpose that we're looking for is. As far as the other things, I want to keep in perspective that we had 12 responses out of 50-ish applicants. And so when somebody states that it's a pain to change the file name, I can respect that it takes an effort, as an additional effort, But if my kids ask me for $100, I'm asking them for justification. And I think that changing a file name is not something that's that challenging, and it helps our staff get everything organized and to us faster so we can review them faster. So I appreciate that it is an extra step, but that is not uncommon for any other grant funding, state, local, federal, for there to be specific things. And usually that's because of the accountability pieces and or the legislation that's attached to providing that funding. So I appreciate that that's a challenge, but I don't think that that's something that we should consider changing because I think it eases the staff and the workload that they have. They're volunteering also. This is outside of their normal job course. So anything that we can do to make the process smoother for everybody involved, I think is helpful. So I think if we can reduce some of the questions, make them more concise and more explanatory. And I think one of the questions or one of the comments they also asked for was more clarification on what we're looking for. So I think that can be added in to the presentation, like what an example of a good application, maybe a good response to some of those questions. And then maybe explaining what the attachments are and why we need them in that presentation. So if we can reduce some, like I'm all for having that discussion, but I think some of them are actual requirements. It's an accountability situation that checks and balances for the city council and other funding sources.
I also just want a historical perspective on the application date. I can't remember a day when it wasn't February, where the applications didn't close in February. So that's all I have, and I agree with everything else that's been said. I did find the answers repetitive this year. It was very challenging. I appreciate the nonprofits that went into the great detail, made my life a little bit easier, but it was repetitive. Not sure why, because I didn't think we changed that much substantively.
Agreed.
So, thank you.
This is all good feedback because we did have a subcommittee where there was a few of us that served on there, and we did look at alignment and trying to add more parentheses with specifics to help people guide. But even me reading it, I'm looking back and thinking, this is repetitive. So another round of a subcommittee, it sounds like we're all kind of flowing with, and we can consider that when we have that item at our upcoming meeting. The other highlight I noticed was someone mentioning that having some sort of guidelines for the length of responses. And I appreciated that because I saw a variety. Some folks were able to get to the point in a more concise manner, where other folks required a lot more detail that maybe wasn't quite necessary and lost me as a reader at times. But I think once we hone in on those questions, that might all fall into order. Okay, well, let's open it to public comment. Okay, given no public comment, let's close public comment. And now we'll move to the next agenda item.
Tell them to steal second.
I think that's the end. Before we move off that, just another thought or two. Our youth commissioner, Unadad, since this was your first time going through and just knowing by the time we work, well, actually, you'll still be around by the time we work on the application. So if you're interested in helping with the subcommittee, that would be great. But also, if you have any perspective you wanted to share, reading through the applications and everything, it's always nice to get a fresh perspective. I don't want to put you on the spot, though.
I have a thought to think about.
Yeah, when I was reading all the applications, the questions kind of did seem kind of repetitive. I feel like I think one of them was asking provided specifics, if I remember. I think it was number 5. It was talking about how question 13 and 15 they have similar, they request for similar information. It was just because a lot of the applicants already write so much, and there's 48 of them to review. So I feel like sizing down on the questions would be easier, to grade the applications for next year, the next youth commissioner.
And this is the commissioner staff report. Anybody else like to add anything? I know staff has an update. I could say it.
I was just going to say that we would like to also thank Commissioner Haywood for her service and for the 10 years and the time, energy, and effort of giving to our community in a volunteer capacity nonetheless. So from staff, thank you very much.
Welcome.
I second that.
It's been a pleasure, and thank you to staff for answering all the questions and all of your predecessors and keeping me sane. So thank you.
So we do have something to report. We did initially last month, we had said that we were going to take the recommendations to council on May 15th tomorrow, but due to the mayor is out of town and I believe another council member will not be at the meeting, as well as the city manager, they had asked if we could push it to June 5th. So we have moved the recommendations to June 5th, and that will be the meeting that they're heard.
Sorry, I have one more thing.
Absolutely, thank you.
So for the, we were kind of, well, because of what we had talked about is trying to get the word out about the Grants Commission and the nonprofits in our community and the different projects that get funded. I know we have the Downtown Tuesday Nights, and there might be some other festivals too, but the Downtown Tuesday Nights is starting in June and goes through the end of July. And I think it would be a great idea if we, how we have this summary report for the bonus, what I call the bonus round, the ARPA funds, that we had as a standalone, and then we have the report that we did similar to this, for the regular cycle. I think it would be nice to be able to have, and I'm willing to help serve it at a booth or something where we could have a combination of people there, and maybe even some of the nonprofits would want to be there who, been funded. And just to be out mixing with the community if people are curious about, what is the Grant Commission? I didn't know you had a Grant Commission. What do you do? What are some of the projects you fund? I just think that would be a neat opportunity. So I wanted to put that out there. And I know we can't, well, I don't know if that requires formal action, in which case we don't. Okay,
No,
good.
staff will coordinate with the other staff that put on that event and see what that process looks like and what they're open to, and then maybe report back.
Okay, because we wouldn't have a meeting before most of that event is over, so I don't know if you guys could email us or something, but like I said, I'd be willing to participate and staffing a booth, and I can't do every Tuesday night because I do have a trip in June, but and then I don't know getting the word out to nonprofits how staff would feel about that, but I just think that would be a neat opportunity for us.
Any other comments? Okay, I'll add a quick one in there. So fun fact, Dawn is a yoga teacher, and she knows how to teach yoga. So usually at the end of the class, there's some intention or words of wisdom the teacher might offer, and I'm kind of putting you on the spot. So before you wrap this meeting, do you have any words of wisdom or intentions you'd like to share with us?
I'd say what's coming to me is keep doing what you're doing. Trust your gut. You all are, I love the perspective that every one of you has brought to this process, staff included. Like I said earlier, the process is incredibly professional, and we've taken it from a process of, okay, yeah, let's award all the kinds of money to everybody, where we're moving towards real stewardship. And not that we weren't stewards in the past, and past commissions weren't, but I think we're even more focused on that and really holding the nonprofits accountable for using the money here in Roseville, which is what the intent and purpose of this all was about. So keeping that purpose and that intention of what this was all created for at the heart of your work will lead you and on the right path and into right decisions.
Thank you. Spoken like a true yogi.
And then I would like to introduce my husband. He's sitting back there, Dennis Parker, came to visit today. But other than that, everybody have a wonderful May.
Okay, we'll move now to the adjournment. Can I get a motion to end this meeting?
I'll so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
So the next meeting is August 13, 2024, our grants check presentation, and this declares the Grant Advisory Commission meeting is officially adjourned at 6:15. Thank you.